is the Voice of Turkey's English language transmission, broadcasting from Ankara in 19-meter band between 12:30 to 13:30 UTC and 15450 kHz, and in the 49-meter band between 18:30, 19:30 UTC and 5945 kHz to Europe. The Voice of Turkey is also beamed between 20:30, 21:30 UTC in the third 1-meter band on 9875 kHz to South Asia and Australia, and in the 25-meter band on 11660 kHz between 16:30, 7:30 UTC to Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. You can listen to us over the Turksat 3A and 4A satellites on the internet at www.trtdinle.com through the links, radios, and then the Voice of Turkey. Our email address is englishdesk@trt.net.tr.
But first, the news. A vote in Hungary's parliament to ratify Sweden's accession to NATO was adjourned due to the absence of ruling party lawmakers, local media reported Monday. The move was postponed after members of the ruling party, which has a 2/3 majority in parliament, did not attend the meeting, the Daily News Hungary reported. Addressing the session, opposition lawmakers criticized ruling party members over their absence at the session, added the report. Last week, Hungary said it will back Turkey's decision on Sweden's bid to join NATO. If there's a shift in Turkey's stance, then of course we will keep the promise that Hungary will not hold up any country in terms of membership, Foreign Minister Peter Sihuadon told a news conference in Budapest. Ahead of a NATO summit in July, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan agreed to forward to Parliament Sweden's bid to join NATO following a trilateral meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson in the Lithuanian capital Vilnius. Finland and Sweden applied for NATO membership shortly after Russia launched its war on Ukraine in February 2022. Although Turkey approved Finland's membership to NATO, it is waiting for Sweden to fulfill its commitments not to provide shelter to terrorists and supporters of terrorists and not to greenlight their actions. Following Turkey's move, Sihuadon said his country's ratification of Sweden's NATO bid is now only a technical question. Myanmar's military junta on Tuesday granted state clemency to incarcerated leader Aung San Suu Kyi, according to local media reports. Former President Win Myint will also be granted clemency, Myanmar now reported. The former leaders of the National League for Democracy Party have been incarcerated since the February 2021 coup. The development comes a day after the junta extended state of emergency in the Southeast Asian nation by 6 months, the fourth time since the coup. The clemency will not pardon Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint for all of the alleged offenses, but merely reduce their sentences, the report added. Last month, reports revealed that Suu Kyi had agreed to hold dialogue without any conditions. It also comes after Thailand's Foreign Minister Don Pramodwinai told his counterparts from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations that he recently met Suu Kyi. France has received authorization from certain Nigerian authorities to intervene militarily to free Niger's president, who was detained last week as part of a putsch led by his presidential guard, the junta said in a statement issued Monday. In keeping with its policy of seeking ways and means to intervene militarily in Niger, France, with the complicity of certain Nigerians, held a meeting with the Niger National Guard General Staff to obtain the necessary military authorizations, said junta spokesman Colonel Major Amadou Abdramane. Hassoumi Massaoudou, the interim prime minister of the West African country, has given his consent for France to carry out strikes on the presidential palace with a view to freeing Mohamed Bazoum, according to the junta. It also said that French security services violated a group of people who had come out to protest outside the French embassy in the capital Niamey on Sunday against France's presence in the country following a march in support of the putsch. The French intervention left 6 people injured, according to Abdrahmane. France denied the junta's accusations, saying no lethal means were used by the French security forces against the demonstrators, whom the Nigerian security forces did not fully succeed in subduing. France also denied any planning of a military intervention in Niger. It's wrong, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna told the BFM News channel. She said it is possible to restore Bazoum in his functions and that this is necessary because these destabilizations are perilous for Niger and its neighbors. Niger's military rulers also accused France of violating their border closure decision by landing an A401 type military aircraft at Niamey International Airport on Thursday. Anti-French demonstrations are not unheard of in Africa, particularly in West Africa, where Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso are also in transition following military coups. In these former French colonies, anti-French sentiment is growing and palpable. Mali and Burkina Faso have officially terminated their military agreements with their former colonial power, which was previously present as part of the fight against terrorism. Niger is now home to the heart of France's military presence and to a large proportion of the forces disembarked from Mali. Some 1,500 French soldiers are stationed in various regions of Niger. France suspended with immediate effect all its development aid and budget support to Niger on Saturday, calling for the immediate return to constitutional order in Niger under President Mohamed Bazoum. Germany has also suspended its development aid to Niger. The deposed president is in good health, according to the latest news relayed by international authorities who have reported conversations with him. Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno, president of the transitional government in Chad, a Sahelian country in the Central Africa, reported a meeting with Bazoum and General Abdrahmane Tichani, the commander of his Presidential Guard, at the head of the putsch late Sunday. In photos published by the Nigerian and Chadian diplomatic services, the Nigerian president can be seen smiling broadly at his Chadian counterpart, the mediator mandated by the Economic Community of West African States. The West African bloc issued an ultimatum on Sunday to the junta to reinstate the democratically elected president in 1 week, announcing the immediate suspension of all commercial and financial transactions with the country. This attitude was welcomed by France, the US, and the European Union. The Nigerian Party for Democracy and Socialism, Bazoum's party, on Monday denounced the abusive arrests of its member ministers, notably those of El-Hajj Fokuamaikaye Gado, High Representative of the President of the Republic, Mohamed Sani Mahamadou, Minister of Petroleum, Hosseini Hadizatu, Minister of Mines, Hama Adamu Soli, Minister of the Interior and Decentralization, and Umaru Malam Alma, Minister of Transport. Denmark said Monday that it has noted the latest declaration by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation following a recent string of public desecrations of the Quran, saying it will continue close dialogue with the group's member states. Denmark has condemned the recent Quran burnings and is exploring the possibility of intervening in special situations within Danish freedom of expression, Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said on Twitter. Releasing a statement following a session of its Council of Foreign Ministers on Monday, the OIC strongly condemned the recent Quran burnings in Sweden and Denmark, expressing deeply regret that these incidents continue to be allowed by the authorities. In a statement late Sunday, the Danish government said it will therefore explore the possibility of intervening in special situations where, for instance, other countries, cultures and religions are being insulted and where this could have significant negative consequences for Denmark, not least with regard to security. Recent months have seen repeated acts of Quran burning or desecration or attempts to do so by Islamophobic figures or groups, especially in Northern European and Nordic countries. Despite wide-ranging condemnation and protests, attacks on the Quran continued on Monday in Denmark and Sweden. In Copenhagen, Denmark's capital, members of the anti-Islam and ultra-nationalist group Danske Patrioter burned a copy of the Muslim holy book in front of the Saudi embassy. Meanwhile, Salvan Momika, a 37-year-old Iraqi refugee living in Sweden, burned another copy of the Quran in front of the Swedish parliament and demanded that Islam be banned in the country. Turkey will exert maximum effort to advocate for a set of principles and actively monitor their application in countries where anti-Islamic hate crimes occur, Turkish diplomatic sources said Monday. Turkey will share its existing acquis on the issue with OIC members in organizations such as the OSCE, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, and the European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance, the sources added. The OIC also welcomed the distribution at Kuwait's expense of 100,000 copies of the Muslim holy book, the Quran, in Sweden, which have been translated in local languages. Member countries are called upon to demonstrate their reactions to the incidents that occur in countries where Quran voting actions take place, taking into consideration their bilateral relations in the context of their political, economic, and cultural ties, said the sources. The organization also called for the designation of a special envoy to combat Islamophobia, utilizing the organization's current resources. OIC members also submitted a request to the UN to appoint a special rapporteur with the aim of addressing Islamophobia. During the video meeting, many ministers stressed the importance of reaching out to Western nations and international bodies, especially in Europe, to closely monitor the situation. The OIC addressed the recent attacks against the Quran in 2 extraordinary executive committee meetings held at the level of permanent representatives on January 31st and July the 2nd. And that was the news brought to you by the Voice of Turkey.